Hello everyone, I'm Gabby from Nourish Chicago, and today we're making fermented pickles. Everyone knows that germs make you sick, but did you know that some bacteria can help you stay healthy? These types of germs aren't regular germs. They live inside of you. In fact, the human body contains more bacterial cells than human cells. These bacteria can have positive effects in the body, especially in your gut, where your food is digested. A world of bacteria lives in your intestines, in a symbiotic relationship with the rest of your cells. This world of bacteria is called the gut microbiome, and it includes all of the microorganisms living in your intestines. You can't see or taste them, but they are always working with your body in complex ways. When we consider what types of bacteria live inside our body, each bacterium competes for dominance. We can think of the bacteria in two groups: the good or symbiotic bacteria and the harmful bacteria that can make us sick. Luckily, we have a lot of influence on the type of bacteria living in our gut microbiome. The food that we eat makes a huge difference in affecting who gets fed, beneficial or harmful bacteria. Foods like vegetables, fruits, and whole grains are what feed the beneficial bacteria. They can help us break down our food to increase our absorption of key nutrients, and they also release certain chemicals that may be protective for our health. When we eat processed foods, fast food, and carbohydrate-rich, sugary foods, we supply harmful bacteria with their favorite metabolites, or food. Since there is more food ready for the harmful bacteria, their population can increase, and they can take over the gut microbiome. Although a healthy diet is the best way to maintain our stores of beneficial gut bacteria, some foods contain probiotics, or beneficial gut bacteria that can increase the population of beneficial bacteria in our intestines. These foods are usually fermented. What is fermentation? Did you know that we can grow good bacteria in our foods? A lot of different foods that we use take advantage of bacteria to create changes in our food in an anaerobic environment. An anaerobic environment is one in which there is a low amount of oxygen, just like the inside of a sealed jar. This process has been used for thousands of years to preserve our food. Kimchi, sauerkraut, and kefir are just some examples of fermented foods. Cucumbers can also be fermented to make pickles. When you want to turn cucumbers into pickles, you need to make an environment around the cucumber that beneficial bacteria will like. This is one of the ways that we know that we are using good bacteria. We know where they like to live. However, not every pickle is the type of pickle we want to make. Pickles that use vinegar are delicious, but they aren't making an environment for beneficial bacteria. They just preserve the cucumbers and give them some flavor. However, real fermented pickles are easy to make at home. The type of bacteria that we will use to ferment our pickles has a name: lactobacillus. Lactobacillus loves salt water. We can use this to our advantage. Many of the harmful species of bacteria that can make us sick do not like being in salt. So, if we surround our cucumbers in a solution that is salty, we can make an environment that lactobacillus will like and the other bacteria will stay away from. If we think about the competition between bacteria taking place within the pickle jar, the favorable environment that we have created means that lactobacillus will dominate the other species. When our food is lacto-fermented, the bacteria produces a substance called lactic acid. When you bite into a pickle and it tastes sour, it is because you are tasting the lactic acid that the bacteria has produced. This lactic acid doesn't only give our pickles their flavor, but it acts as a protection against harmful bacteria that will spoil the food, making it last longer. Fresh vegetables will go bad after a couple weeks in the fridge, but fermented pickles can last months without spoiling. This can help prevent food waste too. Pickling is a great way to preserve food while also making it healthier for our gut. When we eat fermented food, the food is full of good bacteria. When it gets all the way to our gut to be digested, fermented foods supply a boost of beneficial bacteria that keeps our gut happy and healthy. The more fermented foods we eat, the healthier the bacteria in our gut will be. Luckily, making pickles is not a difficult process. We'll be using cucumbers, but the most important ingredient, of course, is salt. We want this to be a specific kind of salt so that our bacteria is happy. In this demonstration, we will be using kosher salt, which does not contain iodine. We also want to add some flavor to our brine using some herbs. We will use dill, horseradish root, and garlic. We are ready to begin. Make sure to wash your cucumbers well. Before we start, we also need to make sure that our jars are extra clean to make sure that we have a nice environment for our good bacteria. After washing my jars thoroughly, I carefully poured some boiling water in the jar and on the lid. This rinse will help get rid of any bacteria that might be sticking around. Now we can begin our packing process. We need to make enough brine to cover the pickles completely. I have prepared some brine here, which includes our salt mixed with boiling hot water. I'll pack the jar with my herbs and cucumbers. We want to make sure that the pickles will be tightly packed to make the most out of our jar and to ensure that they will stay in place when we pour the brine in. Once everything is ready, pour the hot saltwater brine into the jar, making sure you completely cover your cucumbers. Twist the lid on tight and invert the jar until it cools down. Once the jar is cool, you can flip it right side up and place it in a cool, dark place. Because the bacteria we are working with are so small, our pickles will take time to ferment. Since microscopic organisms are producing our lactic acid, these pickles will need to sit in a cool, dark place for about 2 weeks. You might even be able to hear a hissing sound coming from your pickles. This is normal as the cucumbers and bacteria adjust for the first few days. Luckily, for today's demonstration, I've brought some pickles that have been fermenting for a few months. Here we are. As you can see, through the action of the bacteria, the pickles will not only taste sour, but their color and texture has changed as well. This type of sediment in the jar is okay, but if you notice any mold or spots in your jar when you open it, the pickles have spoiled and are no longer safe to eat. Pickles can be made at any time of the year, and they are a great way to support your gut microbiome. Now that you've seen this video, find a Nourish Chicago volunteer to follow along.